Do not set them up to lie by coming down to say, did you
put things
They are
away?
going to say no. Like instinctively, they are going to say no. So don't set the child up for a lie unless you don't know something. Go and do it differently. Just let them know. Oh, I see that you didn't put your clothes away. You didn't fold your clothes, and so this is the consequence.
Which means be honest yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be dishonest and expect the child to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So they haven't done it. Don't set them up. Just bring it up as a fact. I've seen you didn't do this, and so remember we talked about the consequences.
And today we have a psychologist, therapist, and she will clarify exactly what she does. We asked a question on social media when we asked if I would bring you a psychologist or a therapist, what personal question would you have for them about bringing up children? So without further ado, I'll ask Dr. Carol to introduce herself. Tafadhali, waambie wewe ni nani?
Asante sana. Thank you very much, Anne. It's nice to be here. My name is Dr. Carol Chakua. I am a therapist and I have studied psychology. So I have worked with families for a long time. But over the last 5 years, I have specifically worked with parents. So in that sense, I'm a parenting coach as well. So I'm a parenting coach and a therapist. And I work with parents to just help them navigate the parenting in the 21st century, how to raise kids in the 21st century, using my expertise as a psychologist.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll go straight to your questions. And the first one, Dr. Carol Chakua, was, what causes children to lie? And actually, she went ahead to say, there are some kids who can never tell you the truth. They will just lie outright. And she was talking about a child aged about 8 years old. And maybe we can combine this with the other question, which was, how do you deal with rebellious, lying teens who are angels in your presence and little devils in your absence?
Ouch.
I know.
Ouch, little devils. We'll get to that. And usually I'm really careful about the words that we use, because it really, when we label children liars, when we label children that a certain way, that's who they become.
Yeah.
So it's very important. One of the things I do with parents is to help them explore their own interpretations. How are they interpreting their children's behaviors? How are they interacting with them? What thoughts are they bringing to that moment? But let's talk about the lie, because I'll sort of weave in all these things that I do. Now, children will always lie. I mean, let's start there, okay? Children will always lie.
It's true.
And why we need to, one of the things I do as a psychologist and a parenting coach is I tell parents, let's chase the why. Okay, and let's find out why then do they lie, because if we don't know why they lie, then we won't know how to approach it. If we don't get to, I always say behavior is the tip of the iceberg. Tip, like, and the tip of the iceberg is like, that is on what you say is 10%. 90%
there's the entire iceberg.
Below the surface of the water. And so we need to chase that one. So the thing is, children lie for the same reasons that adults lie.
Do I lie?
Look, we do. We do white lies, real lies, I mean, let's just be realistic for the same reasons. So let's see the same reasons. One, because we don't want to face the consequences. Okay? We are afraid of facing consequences. So we will do a lie, a white lie here and there. Number two, children lie because they don't want to disappoint. So I don't want to disappoint mommy. I don't want to disappoint daddy. They don't want to disappoint people in the authority figures. Number three, children lie because they have not been trained to think before they talk. Okay. So quickly, what have you done this? Yes, take a moment to sit back. And that's what I tell parents. Whatever misbehavior, has your child been trained in the right way? Or do we just expect children to do things and we haven't trained them in it? The other reason children lie is because they want to impress people. Oh, I did this, then I got this, then I did that. That because they want to impress, and that's the same reason we also exaggerate some things as adults. And then the one that for me is very, very important is because we haven't created an environment where they know they're free to make mistakes and they can make mistakes. And also they are afraid of our reaction because we explode, we get angry.
Or when they say the actual truth,
when they say
what I did.
Yes. So they know they don't want to get into trouble. They are afraid of our reactions. We have already communicated to them. We expect perfection. We expect them to do the right thing. And when they don't do it, then we explode at them. And so then knowing the why then helps us now figure out what do we actually do. The main thing is just to create the right environment for your child to tell the truth. Create the right environment for your child to tell the truth. Is it an easy thing? Is it something you wake up to do?
It's not.
It's not.
How not to explode when she does bad? It's not easy.
Yeah, it is not easy.
Wow.
Yeah. So we can talk a little bit about that environment, and say, number one, just if your child has lied. In fact, number one, let me just give a very simple example. You told your child to put away their stuff, in the bedroom.
Yep.
Don't just leave everything lying on the floor, okay? And then you go to they're not there. You go to their room and you find things lying on the floor.
Yep.
Do not set them up to lie by coming down to say, did you
put things
They are
away?
going to say no. Like instinctively, they are going to say no. So don't set the child up for a lie unless you don't know something. Go and do it differently. Just let them know. Oh, I see that you didn't put your clothes away. You didn't fold your clothes, and so this is the consequence.
Which means be honest yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be dishonest and expect the child to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So they haven't done it. Don't set them up. Just bring it up as a fact. I've seen you didn't do this, and so remember we talked about the consequences. So I'm going to take away this privilege. Period. We finished that business. But you ask them if they have put away stuff. They will say no. So there'll be two things. You're angry that they have not put away stuff, and two, you're angry that they're like, who do you think you are? Why did you lie to me? And so we go there. So number one, don't set them up to life. When you know they haven't done something, just say it matter of fact and give them consequences. Number two, do not explode. And that is the one thing that we do a lot.
Yep.
Breathe in and out. You get a call from school, and your child has been told your child has not done their homework for the last 2 weeks, and they've been telling you every evening.
Yeah. I've finished my homework.
And then you get a call. And then what do you do? Where I come from, we say there's something that rises in you. There's just an anger, because you're feeling betrayed at that time. You're feeling, why would you lie to me? You think, what are you doing? This, you're embarrassing me also. So start to explore, why am I feeling angry? How am I interpreting this child's behavior? I've had parents who tell me, after I talk to them about really exploring and reflecting about how you're feeling, they tell me the things I told my child. I told them, you will go to jail when you grow up. Because those are the things that we think, that if they are lying now, they're going to, they'll end up in prison. Now, if you're thinking like that, you will feel anxious and you will explode. So you need to step back. Remember, number one, we said children will always lie, and it's our job to give them the skills to start talking, to start saying the truth. Two, do not explode, or learn not to. You'll explode the first, the second, the third time. But please go back and make sure that you're creating an environment where when your child has done something wrong, they can come to you. Let them know making mistakes is okay. And then when you suspect they have lied and you don't really, you're not very sure, or you know that they haven't done it and they're still saying no. For example, did you do your homework? No. Yes, I did my homework. And the teacher has said that they did not. Give them an opportunity. Tell them, I want you to go to your room. Think think about it and you come back and tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Now, don't promise them. Sometimes as parents, we promise them, if you tell me the truth, you will not face the consequences.
I'll not beat you. I'll not do anything to you.
If you have talked about the consequences before, let them know you still face the consequences, but I'm teaching you to come and tell me the truth. Because if I find out that you have lied, now those are 2 types of consequences I'll give you. But the most important thing is to learn to do it in a calm environment. When we explode on our children, when they have lied or when they misbehave, we are just teaching them to make sure that next time they are not caught.
They're not caught.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be exploded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It relieves that, that feeling. And then continually have conversations about honesty. Of course, model honesty yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
You also have to model honesty yourself. Then continue. Why is it important to be honest? Why? Because people will not trust you if you lie.
Yeah.
And when you'll end up a certain way, you might not end up in the best environment at work because people will not trust you in terms of relationships. So have those broader conversations as opposed to just continuing to just explode on them and try and cut them. So bottom line, just create an environment for them to know that they can come to you. Number 1, when they make mistakes. Number 2, with the truth. And how will you react? So it's really about, and that's basically what I do with parents, is to help them look at themselves and explore what meaning am I making out of this child. And so, let's not call them little devils,
Although I'm glad this parent put it in quotes, the
quotes.
little devils.
Yes.
So that way she knows it's not really a title to give
I'm sorry, quotes or not quotes, we just it's just the same way we say terrible twos and all that. It's what in psychology call a self-fulfilling prophecy. So quotes or not quotes, let's be careful about the words we use, because that's how we will come at our children. If you see them that way, or even if you use it even in jest, because again, behavior is a tip of the iceberg. Somewhere deep down, maybe you may believe that there's a lot of evil in them. I mean, sometimes...
Or you're afraid about your child turning out to be evil.
To be evil, yes. And so that becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy and they end up that way. So let's learn to create the right environment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, just help me, because just a personal follow-up to this question. So I catch my child doing wrong and they lie about it. What do I deal with first? Okay, I will really, really try to be calm, I promise. But what do I deal with first? The wrong that they did or the fact that they are lying?
It really depends on the immensity of either of those two. For me, the fact that they are lying is something that I can put on the side for now. Let's deal with what has happened. And let's deal with what has happened, because that is already something that probably we've talked about. If you don't clean up your room, these are the consequences. Yeah. So these are the consequences for that. And you calmly give the child to follow through with them. Yeah. Now, the fact that they are lying, we need to continue having ongoing conversations later. Say, you know what? And this is where empathy comes in. You tell the child, I know the first thing you thought of is to lie to me just because I caught you. Yeah. Sometimes just let the child know that they fell. But that doesn't mean you agree with it. Say, I know that your first reaction was to do this. So I understand that. But I want you to know it is wrong. I want you to know honesty is important. As a family, we value telling the truth. And if you are whatever religion you come from, if you have something to quote from the Bible, you quote about lying, because you want to follow it up. Yeah. Okay, and then you say, I expect that next time it doesn't matter how afraid you are to come and tell me the truth. Just know that with mommy, you can tell mommy the truth.
Wow. Okay, I think that one I will come also personally, so that because me lying, I think I usually feel the urge to deal with lying first, because that is what more than even what you did wrong. Yeah. And actually, even as a teacher, I would let them know that I'd rather just deal with the wrong that you did. But the lying is so offensive to me.
It is true, and it happens for many parents. Lying is such a trigger. It triggers strong emotions of frustrations, of anger, of guilt. Like, what have I been teaching this child for them to be lying? Yeah. So accept that. Accept that, like, It is a trigger for me as well, even where I am. I tell these things because I'm also practicing and learning them, not because I have perfected myself. But even for me, lying is a trigger. And I am learning to step back and just ask myself, why is this boy choosing, thinking that lying is an option for them?
Yeah.
Okay? So don't be hard on yourself. Just give yourself compassion and know that it is a trigger for many of us.
Yeah, right. Thank you. On to your next question, which will be coming in after a short break. See you shortly. And Jerry asked, how can I get my children to trust and confide in me? And I'm not saying that they don't, but I don't know if they do. Am I making sense? I think she is. Yes. I know that feeling. Because sometimes as we try to instill discipline and respect, the child fears you so much in the sense that if anything like abuse happened to them, they probably would be afraid to come to us as parents.
Okay. Good question from Jerry. And it is true. I hear her. Sometimes you're like, is this child really telling me the truth? You know? And the reality is that you will not know 100% that they are. But there's one thing you will not stop doing, which is really related to what I talked about earlier. You will not stop creating an environment where your children can come to you. We need to know that parenting is an ongoing process, okay? And we move from not knowing to trial and error. In fact, there's a quote I like to use that I've used, I'm sure we'll talk about my book a little bit, that if parenting had a GPS, it would mostly read recalibrating, because we're always really just trying trial and error. So even in trying to create the right environment, it's a trial and error. And let's release perfect parenting, where, you know, there are people who say, my child always comes to me, they'll never lie to me, we are very open. Yes, there are many parents who have those kinds of relationship, but let's not take it to the extreme where it happens all the time 100%. It will not. A time will come when your child will prefer peers to you.
True.
Okay?
Or a favorite aunt.
Yes, or a favorite aunt. So allow those positive people to be in their lives. So that's why for me, parenting in a village is very important. So that if they cannot come to you,
you know that they have somewhere else.
Who can they go to? Yeah. If they cannot open up to you because of something, don't feel inadequate or enough because of that. Is there someone they can go to? Yeah. And allow those aunties, those uncles, those older cousins to be there. But what you don't stop doing is continue to create the environment. When you tell them you can come to me for anything, parent, are you really ready for it? Are you ready to take the truth? Because they will come. I mean, the first time they will come, they will tell you, I did this. Are you ready to take it? Or are you going to explode on them again?
I was just thinking that, like, there's a combination of you can come to me for anything, and at the same time, you have to be working on never exploding. Because if you tell them that, and then when they come to you with anything, you explode, then you nullify even the coming to you with anything.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. So creating an environment, we don't give up.
We don't give up. We continue doing that. And then when we explode, because I have exploded, there is something that I call, and I've also talked about in this book, it's called repair. When you mess up, create an opportunity to repair with your child. And let the child know, you know what, that just shocked me, and that is why I reacted the way I did. Can we do this over again? Let me tell you, it really is good if you're able to do that with your child.
Does that incorporate apologizing to the child?
Yes, it does.
Because we grew up saying our parents should also have learned apologizing. Yes. But when I became a mother, I have learned it's not easy to apologize to your child. It's not. And let me tell you why. Because we have this belief that apologizing is a sign of weakness. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a sign that I have failed. But when you look at these very grown, mature democracies, that's when a whole parliament will step down because of a mistake that has been done. Yeah. Because they are acknowledging, I am not perfect. Yeah. I'd step down. It's actually a sign of maturity to apologize. Yeah. So when you mess up, you repair by apologizing. You repair the little one by just hugging. Mommy was not feeling. Mommy was a little stressed, and that's why mommy shouted at you. Mommy, so sorry. And then you hug them,
No.
And you know what you're doing there? You're also teaching them how to resolve conflict.
Yeah.
Also, you're teaching them to take responsibility when they make mistakes.
Exactly.
So it still goes back to just creating that environment for them to come to you. When they come to you, learn to take in. Then the art of listening. Children know when we are listening to them. And children know when you're not listening to them. So I've come to a point with my son who is 12 now. He knows. He's like, Mommy, you did not hear that.
Oh.
In fact, he will tell me, Mommy, can you repeat what I say?
Ouch.
And then he just catches me. Because he knows.
Yeah.
So they know, they can see it. They can see it on our faces. They can see it with our body language when you're not listening. So practice the art of listening, really listening to your children. And then finally, one of the things that I encourage parents to do is to always create what I call special time for each child individually.
Oh.
You have 6 children. I'm sorry, you've got to do special time for each of
Each
them.
one of
Not
them.
daily, you
Yeah.
know. But, within the course of the week, make sure that every child has spent quality time with you. Time when you are fully present. So where's my phone? Put it away. Okay? Because if you have it, it will beep. Our phones have been put in a way that there's notification for everything. And you will be distracted. And do you know how long that time is, Anne? 10 minutes. 10 minutes is enough to get you started to do special time.
Wow.
So if you can spare 10 minutes with each of your children, then to start you off, of course, as you continue, it might be, a special thing here and special thing there that will take longer. But we get overwhelmed because we don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a place to start with a basic 10 minutes, one-on-one with each of your children, including the teenager. They love that. They'll enjoy that.
We just assume that.
We just assume they don't. But imagine they do. You're still a voice of influence for that teenager. Even if you're always fighting, they are still, they are craving. They're craving for your attention. They're craving for your love. They're craving for time with you.
Yeah.
So you step back, work on yourself. The reason we don't do this is because we also have so much we're working on. We're going through as human beings, as adults. And for as long as you're not working in that or on yourself in that space, and that's what I really specialize in, to just help parents sort out their own issues first, so that you can be fully present even for those 10 minutes, so that you don't explode on them, all those things. To be able to prevent those things, we want to be able to work on ourselves.
All right. A quick one before we get to the conclusive one. Being able to diagnose
some
learning difficulties such as
dyslexia,
ADHD. How can I be able to diagnose this before the child goes to school?
So one, you cannot be able to diagnose unless you're an expert. Okay, so diagnosis is a very different thing. It's something that you go through a battery of tests to be able to do that. Number one. Number two, it takes time. So maybe how can I be able to identify my child is struggling with a learning difficulty? Maybe that's how the question would be. And, again, before a child goes to school, it's very difficult for you to know if they're having a learning difficulty. Because they're not learning, because they're not in a learning environment. They're not
controlled learning
environment. Yeah, they are not with other learners, because sometimes you're having a difficulty when you're comparing with others. So that you are out of the norm. You're either special, like gifted or talented on this side, or having a learning difficulty on this side. So you have to open yourself up. You have to allow your child to go to school. And even research says it takes about 2 years for you to actually know that your child has a learning difficulty. I think this parent, if they have concerns, if their child, you just monitor, see if there's delayed speech, see if they're struggling with their talking, see if they're getting overly frustrated about some things. But again, it's very hard for you to say this frustration and this temper tantrum is as a result of a developmental delay. So during the first 5 years of life, it's very difficult to diagnose and say this is it, unless it's severe handicap. And severe handicap, we will all know. We will all know, because they're not talking. They are overly hyperactive, or they are withdrawn, or they are staring at one object for a very long time. And those are the things that, I would encourage you to just
see a
specialist and let them see a pediatrician first, who can refer you to a specialist.
Okay. Yeah. So finally, I say this as finally because I thought this question has a lot to do with what actually led you to writing the book Parenting with Your Heart in Mind. Because someone asked, much of our understanding of psychology is based on the work of Sigmund Freud and all these other people we learned in campus that we didn't want to learn about. These are psychologists of yesteryears. And the question is, what new theories are current psychologists developing, particularly on parenting? I think there's somebody probably who, like many parents, is really tired of all these theories that come about parenting that don't look like they work. They're just out there. And so probably just finalize by doing an overview of this.
Yeah, and rather than just talking about theories, let's just talking about, again, what kind of environment do we want to provide for children. Sigmund Freud talks about the influence of the past to the present. We cannot run away from that.
True.
Okay, so even though they are old theories, there's a lot we can learn. And the new theories have come as a result of trying those and improving on them. Okay, so even the new ones, for example, we have, not really new, but after Sigmund Freud, a whole wave of movement called humanistic psychology, where now, rather than trying to fix people, let's ask ourselves, what environment do we need to create? Let's look for the inherent good that is in every person.
Yeah.
Like every human being deserves to be accepted and understood simply because they are human beings. Okay, not to be fixed all the time. Let's nip every behavior in the bud. So we are moving away from trying to look for a problem to fix, but looking at the human being as they are and trying to draw out the good in them and nurturing that good in them. Yeah. So a lot of these theories are more towards humanistic. We now even have the latest movement is called positive psychology that is not looking at disease, abnormalities and all that, mental illness, but we are looking at this human being. How can we optimize? How can we bring out the best in them? How can we identify the resources that they have? So even when it comes to parenting, it's us asking, but rather than waiting for a misbehavior to happen, is what environment do I need to create so that good behavior will come out?
Yeah.
How do I nurture the good in my child? How do I, for example, going back to the lion example, focusing on when they say the truth, how do I encourage it? How do I point it out? So that they now begin to see the difference. So we want them to thrive by focusing on what is good. We're not ignoring what is bad. It's just that as human beings, we are so focused on the negative, that it becomes, that's why we label them a lot and all that. But so new theories and new ideas and principles are focusing more on the good in the child and nurturing that good and training first, being proactive as opposed to being reactive.
Waiting for when the wrong has happened, and that's when we react.
Yes.
And that's the environment you try to creating by parenting with the heart of the parent in mind.
Yes.
Is this a good time to say thank you for coming?
Thank you for coming. And yes, that's why the book is there, Parenting with Your Heart in Mind. It's just really asking myself, what's the condition of my heart as I'm parenting this child? Am I looking at them as a bad child? Am I fearful? Am I anxious? Because if I'm fearful and anxious, and I believe that children must be seen and not heard, all those things that we carried from our upbringing, that there's only one way of raising a child and disciplining them, and that is by using chapa, and I'm not against it. I'm just saying sometimes we are so stuck up on things like that. So parenting with the heart in mind invites you to begin to learn how to create that environment.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. I believe we will have more to talk about this. Thank you so much for watching Ask the Experts. Keep your questions coming on our handles, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Parents Magazine Kenya. These videos will be coming to you on YouTube all the time. So touch that notification bell so that you are aware every time we have a new video, every time we're answering your questions with an expert. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Karibu.